Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 3:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, here's a video that I did not plan on doing this morning. Usual morning, I've been up for a couple hours looking through the news feeds, deciding on what story I wanted to talk about. And I came across one. Honestly, I got a rush of adrenaline, like this nervous feeling when I came across this story. And then I looked, I was like, this can't be right. So I looked it up on other websites, did some research, watched the video, and the links will all be down below. And I still can't believe this. I did a video a couple days back. I wasn't sure, I didn't, if some people would take it the wrong way because I mentioned homeless veterans in it. I wasn't sure if I was going to download it. And I talked about how Florida had become unwelcoming to a lot of groups, which is true. To doctors, to librarians, to anybody, to immigrants, legal immigrants, and supposedly illegal immigrants, the whole LGBTQ community. The NAACP issued a warning for people of color, black people, traveling or in Florida, which is insane. I put that link in my other video. And now, this morning, I find that I now have joined that group. Let me start like this. Okay, I live in Connecticut. It gets cold up here in the winter. It'll start getting cold in September. The leaves could start turning at the end of August. It'll hit freezing by the end of September, beginning of October. We'll have our first frost, and it can get down to minus 20, a couple feet of snow. And Florida is. I get on the weather websites and I look out my window, and it's literally 10 degrees below zero with wind chill and all that. And I could drive for 24 hours, get in my car, and drive for maybe 22 hours, about 1,000 miles, and go to Florida, where the temperature is like 50 or 60 overnight and 75 during the day. The water's 70, 80 degrees. It's very tempting. I've thought about it many winters. I can't do that now. I can't do that. If I drive from here to Florida now, I'm looking at going to jail for 60 days and a $500 fine. I swear to God. People from 5 states, their driver's licenses are now no longer valid. They're no longer accepted for identification or for driving purposes in Florida. 5 states. This has no, and I thought, well, maybe it's, maybe people that are undocumented, because Connecticut has special driver's licenses for people that are undocumented. Nope. For the whole state, for any driver, me, you, if you're from any one of these 5 states, if you drive as of July 1st, Ron DeSantis has signed this law that your license is no longer accepted in the state of Florida. If you get pulled over by the Florida Highway Patrol, and you're from one of these 5 states with, I have a valid driver's license. I have no criminal record, perfectly legal, up to date. If I drive from here to Florida, this is America today. This guy's running for president. If I drive from Connecticut down to Florida and I get pulled over, I thought about this too. What if I take a plane down to Florida and I stay at a hotel and decide, what if I can't sleep and I decide to go walking on the beach at 1 a.m. and a cop sees me, wandering around the dark, and hey buddy, you got an ID? When did I pull this out? Good chance I'm going to jail for at least 60 days and $500 fine. I'm pretty much illegal. My identification, who I am, I'm illegal in Florida. I read this morning. I was like, this can't be right. This has to be wrong. I looked it up on other websites. This is, for all intents and purposes, this is correct. Here's an interesting thing about driving to Florida. I talked about this in the other video. Ron DeSantis, this is now one step closer to becoming real. Ron DeSantis is okayed putting radioactive waste into the roadways to fill the roadways of Florida. Phosphogypsum. It's made from producing fertilizer, and it's the leftovers, and it's got a highly radioactive natural, like uranium, radium, and stuff like that. Radioactive material in the roadways of Florida. So you won't need streetlights anymore. The roadways will just glow green No, I'm kidding about the glowing. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah. So this is Ron DeSantis' Florida. Okay, the states, the 5 states are Connecticut, Rhode Island, Vermont, Delaware, and Hawaii. It's kind of interesting because if I'm not mistaken, at least 4 of these 5 are pretty hard blue states. My state's blue. Vermont, I'm not sure. They might swing Republican. Delaware, I'm not sure. Rhode Island's blue. Delaware's blue. Hawaii, I think, is Republican. So that's interesting. The reason for this, he says, is to stiffen immigration laws. What immigration laws have to? Because my state allows sanctuary cities. It's now illegal for me and millions of other Americans to drive in the state of Florida. You're probably saying, no, Gerald, you're wrong, you're lying. Read it. Tell me if I'm wrong. The articles are down below. I haven't seen this on TV or anything yet. This is the first I read of this, but this went into effect July 1st. And then I thought about this. 4 of these states, Florida exists a good part on tourism. All right. So again, I can't believe this guy is running for president of the United States. Florida exists pretty much on tourism money. And millions of people from at least 4 of these states drive down to Florida regularly every year to spend a week, 2 weeks. I've known family and friends since I was in grade school that drove down every year to Florida or flew so it's shooting the tourism industry in the foot. Now, what about people from Hawaii? Obviously, they're going to fly there, but once they get there, Florida's a huge state. Most people, when they go to Florida, they're gonna get a rental car. I got a rental car when I went to visit Audrey's parents, who by the way, when she moved to Florida 2 years ago, she caught COVID within a day of getting there, and passed away when she moved to Florida. And then here's another interesting thing. I've said this before, that Audrey never had asthma one day in her life. She died August 5th, 2021, of pneumonia-related COVID in Jacksonville, Florida, because she didn't believe in the vaccinations, and she was a Trump voter. And I got a scared letter from her sister saying, Daryl, do you know anything about Audrey having asthma? And I said, no, she never had asthma a day in her life. Because the state of Florida, the medical examiner wanted to list her cause of death, or probably did list her cause of death. I didn't see the documents, as asthma and not COVID, because Ron DeSantis hid all these. It happened to me. It literally, I know the person I love most in the world. This happened, and people are voting for Ron DeSantis because of the way he handles COVID. This is a true story. Unbelievable. What about somebody's? A lot of people's parents up here in Connecticut, their parents retire in Florida when they get older, and inevitably have medical problems. So the millions of people up here that have relatives in Florida, their parents have a medical problem. They fly down and get a rental car. Now they drive into the hospitals to tend to their dying parents, and they end up in jail for 60 days. This is unbelievable. I'm still in shock. The links will be down below to this. Read it yourselves. It has nothing to do. Supposedly, the licenses from Connecticut aren't valid for national identification. It had nothing to do with sanctuaries. It doesn't say anything about sanctuary cities or anything. It just says my license. I just dropped it. My Connecticut license will now land me in jail for 60 days in Florida. And if you're from any of the 5 states, Delaware, Vermont, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Hawaii, you are now person non grata in Florida. God help us if Ron DeSantis becomes president. Read the links down below. I'll be back later with another video. Have a good Saturday.